Danger Mouse is Brian Burton, a musical auteur and producer extraordinaire. Brian has etched out his place in music by creating symbiotic relationships with juxtaposing music style and genre. Danger Mouse has created an abundance of seminal music involving artists such as Jay-Z, Beck and CeeLo Green. You're tuned into Roots to Grooves.
It's a matter of sensation. But somehow you have a way of avoiding it all. In my mind, I have shot you and stabbed you through your heart. I just didn't understand. The ricochet is the second part. 'Cause you can't hide what you intend. It glows in the dark. Once you start the path of revenge, there's no way to stop. And the more I try to hurt you, the more it hurts me. Strange. It seems like a character mutation. Though I have all the means of bringing you fuckers down, I can't make myself to destroy upon command.
Welcome, guys. It is Roots to Grooves. I'm Jesse. Sitting across from me is Jay Purcell. Outside the window is Seattle, Washington, our lovely community where we live and learn. How are you doing, Jay?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Just drinking some high-quality H2O to start my day.
Yeah, we're sort of trying all the beverages. I just want to point out, I bought Liquid Death for the first time today,
Water Wars.
which is a bit ridiculous. But this was actually cheaper than the other water options that they had there.
Really?
So I was like, okay, let me do this. I've seen Steve-O from Jackass.
Yeah.
He has his podcast. They're always drinking Liquid Death. I think it's kind of a weird concept. Although drinking it make you maybe stop drinking as much alcohol because it feels like you have a can. Maybe that's why they did that with the design as well. I don't know. This is not a paid sponsorship. They should pay us.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by anybody. We bring you this value for free because we are here to learn.
But I just want to ask what you're drinking.
But we're doing Water Wars. I found this recently. It sounds very familiar to me, which is why it stood out to me. Topo Chico.
I've seen the bottle before. It looks like a cool, Italian thing.
It is. It's exactly what it is. It's nice carbonated water.
It's carbonated with a twist.
Mineral water.
Is it calories in that?
It said twisted grapefruit, but I don't really taste that, and I know grapefruit's pretty bitter.
Yeah. Any calories though in that? Oh,
No, I think it's straight up just water.
okay.
Serving size, 1 bottle, calories 0.
There you go.
There's nothing in there. Very good.
And then finally we have the not sponsored by the Colshan Brewing Company out of Bellingham, Washington.
Yes, I just had tried this for the first time up in Bellingham,
Yeah.
visiting some family, and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Saw it down at the Conenstein.
Right. Yeah. It was. Oh my God. We just got to help all these companies like that, guys. Because by the way, people, we bring these episodes to you completely for free. We're not paid for any of this, and but we're here because we're musicians and we like to pick a different artist each week and talk about their music, their career, their beginnings, their mindset.
Whether they wear boxers or briefs.
Yeah. What they like to eat for breakfast in the morning. No.
Yeah. Nails.
Sometimes, but because I think maybe this is inspirational for people that just listeners of music. But I think especially for music makers, right? This is kind of our impetus to sort of learn from these artists and everything like that. Yeah.
Yes, for those at the precipice of creation.
Yeah.
So it's long form conversation.
Yeah.
So thanks for your patience. Thanks for being here. We're talking about Danger Mouse.
Yes.
Brian Burton.
So
this is I think we got a slow start to this episode. I think it's gonna be a beastly episode. We started with this track at the beginning.
Revenge.
That we opened up with Revenge, which is a Danger Mouse produced track with Sparkle Horse and also. Oh, I'm sorry, I just had it pulled up. Who's the guy on it? It's the guy from the Flaming Lips. What's his name?
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I think it's Wayne Cohn or something.
Okay, right.
Cone Wayne or Wayne Cohn.
Yeah.
That's off my memory. So,
yeah,
because I'm bad at taking notes. But very cool song. That's the first song off of an album that came out in 2010, Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah.
Which I really like that album. I think it's very high production value.
I've heard of it. I never listened to it. I heard of Sparkle Horse from years ago.
And we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Sparkle Horse is a close contributor. He makes music with Danger Mouse, Brian Burton. And then this album has just a ton of notable vocalists and artists featured on it.
Okay.
It's a very heavy hitting album. It's very good.
Yeah.
That was the first track off the album, so it's kind of a slow, really tender track.
Right.
But as you can see, it builds up even at the end. There's the crazy drum breaks and stuff.
Sweet. Yeah.
But yeah, really.
2010.
I was just I almost regretted starting with that track because it's kind of a slow burner, but it's very tender and very good. And I wanted to highlight Brian Burton's, production abilities.
Yeah.
Because he can make these things sound very tender and very grandiose. A lot of energy packed into these great tracks.
Well, let's remember this because this touches on something that I found out about. We'll talk about that later on.
Put a pin in that.
Show. Put a pin in that. But yeah, Danger Mouse, Brian Burton, he is a prolific producer. I would say producer.
Yeah, generally.
like he's done everything. I mean, do we want to reel off some names right now?
I mean, yeah, this guy's worked with CeeLo Green.
Yeah.
Now it's your turn.
Oh, Gorillaz.
The Shins.
Adele.
Sure. Are we gonna just keep going?
I'm just gonna like pluck random names. Yeah.
Jay-Z.
Indirectly, but we'll talk about that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But
No,
direct, we're talking about direct.
I think they were in contact.
Producer Beck.
Oh, that was my next one.
Okay.
Portugal the Man.
Portugal the Man. Okay. Electric Guest. We did an episode a few weeks ago.
All of this is coming together. Actually, Asa Tacone from Electric Guest helped work on Feel It Still by Portugal the Man.
Oh.
Which came off an album that Brian Burton worked on.
Interesting.
Woodstock.
Okay.
So I mean, this guy's everywhere.
Parquet Courts.
Keep it going. Who else we got? MF Doom.
MF Doom.
I mean, come on. So
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Sorry, no, seriously, it's
Nora
crazy.
Jones.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's got such a back catalog of diverse artists that he's produced for. Like
instead of like reaching in a toolbox of like tools,
yeah,
or like musical instruments, his toolbox is literally all the other artists that he likes.
Yeah.
He's like, I want you on my album. I want all 10 of you on different tracks on my album.
Yeah.
Like he's a beastly producer.
Yeah.
He's worked on many tracks.
And it's funny,
many projects.
Yeah, and I guess like, so musically, sonically, there is a thread which is interesting to me.
Let's touch on that for a second.
Yeah, his sound.
Yeah, so I get it's kind of he comes from a kind of a hip hop background.
Yeah.
He did move to England to be a trip hop producer at one point.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So kind of, I don't know. Yeah, take it from there. I know him starting from a trip hop kind of hip hop vibe.
Yeah, definitely sample based hip hop stuff. He doesn't consider himself a little bit of imposter syndrome. He doesn't really consider himself much of a. Well, he is a musician, but he can't read or write music. Mm-hmm. And he came from the sampling realm, kind of thing. He spent about 6, maybe more or so years in that world of crafting sampling based music before he really became known for anything to the public or released anything.
Right.
So he took that sort of time to do stuff. But like sonically, like I feel like if you listen to all of his contributions across all of these artists, from Adele to Beck to Chili Peppers, you can hear his stamp on it. And the best way I could describe his sound is warm, soul, funky, hip-hoppy, emotive. I mean, if you've heard the opening track, people, and you heard the album Demon Days from Gorillaz, you're basically... It's funny. He's not the same all the time, but he has definitely a unique style that you can tell it's him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and I want to touch on that for 1 second because I came across this during the interviews and stuff I was reading, and Brian Burton was describing the way that I think he was asked like, who are your influences? Like, who do you want to be like? What are you trying to create? What do you want to be? Mm-hmm. And he was like, there's nobody in the music industry who has a career that I want. That I want to base my career off. Yeah. Nobody has the career that I want, so I have to create something for myself.
Right.
And he linked it to like being a filmmaker. Yeah. And I came across this word, an auteur. I think it's pronounced auteur. I'm going to play it.
Auteur. Yeah.
Auteur.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And this describes. I'll read the definition. It's a filmmaker whose personal influence and artistic control in a movie specifically are so great that the filmmaker is regarded as the author of the movie.
Right.
So very interesting. And I think there's a lot of producers that end up doing that. Like just they have their stamp on all of the scenes and the colors and the symmetry and the cinematography. Yeah. And they have so much of their stamp on it that it's kind of like their movie. Like people say it's almost like they wrote it, even though there's different writers and components to this. But the general population of people, the audience, see it as like, oh wow, he did that. Yeah. That director did that. So Brian Burton's linking that idea, and he wants to do that idea with music. Yeah. So he's working with a different artist, producing for this different artist, and instead of just helping him like, oh yeah, I'll mix your track when you're done with your song. Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm gonna help you. Let's push it this in this direction. I want to move this over here and try this. And so he has his hands on all the aspects of the track.
Yeah.
To the point where you could really feel Brian Burton's presence. I know a lot of people would say, like, as a producer, you don't want to have people be able to understand who the producer was just by listening to it.
I think there's like different types of producers though, right?
Right.
At least off the top of my head, I can tell that there's, there is the modern sense of a producer where they're like actually like manning the computer and beat makers, producers, they call themselves producers. There is the Rick Rubin kind where they're there more for like kind of
a spiritual guide,
spiritual like ideas. Even like Metallica
esoteric.
has people that come. A lot of those old rock bands used to have people. Sepultura and like would have a producer come in. Ross Robinson was one guy that did a lot of Korn stuff that I know of. He did a lot of those rock albums, and I couldn't really say that he had a stamp of a sound on it, but he was definitely there helping like craft the sound, give feedback, suggesting techniques, strong structure type stuff. And then you got like Brian Burton, Danger Mouse, who's probably a little bit more like in the earlier category that I mentioned of like beat maker, producer, because he's very hands-on. Even it sounds like on the Red Hot Chili Peppers album, which we can, I don't know if we want to talk about that yet, but like
we're not there yet.
Exactly, yeah. But it's so
no, totally. Just in this, we're just talking overview right now. This guy's won, like, I think he's been nominated for like 22 Grammys and he's won 6.
Wow.
He's been nominated for like best artist and stuff. Esquire magazine named him one of the 75th most influential people of the 21st century even.
Right.
So that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
Producer of the year category. He won that in 2011.
Yeah.
So there's just some of his accolades and accomplishments.
Yeah.
To say that he's won awards, he's worked with some of the biggest artists. He's worked with a wide range of various artists of different genres.
Yeah.
He's been at it for over 2 decades. He's basically seeing a lot of success, and he's just a very interesting guy. A lot of great music coming from Brian Burton, Danger Mouse.
Yeah.
So, thanks. Yeah. This is a J pick.
Yeah, because we've mentioned Damon Albarn a lot. We've mentioned Danger Mouse, maybe not a lot, but definitely on the Electric Guest episode.
Yeah.
And also, I've been kind of a little bit strategic on my picks lately because we're so close to recording these to release now that I was like looking to see who has stuff coming out. And Danger Mouse has some stuff coming out, maybe soon, a new Broken Bells album. He's been quiet during COVID. He hasn't done much for the last couple of years, but a new Broken Bells album, which is coming out in the next couple of months or something like that. It's under wraps right now.
I'm hyped.
But yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, we just talked about him. Let's see what this guy's about.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Great artist. I was going to make a joke about it at the beginning because we usually don't talk about artists that are this big. I think I've said previously Richard Ashcroft was our biggest artist. Yeah. And this is up there. I think even though I wouldn't say a lot of people know Brian Burton's name.
That's the thing. I don't think a lot of people know of Danger Mouse, or like even though he's done a lot of big stuff.
Right.
Most Adele fans probably don't know who he is. He did like one track on her album 25, but I don't.
He'd be like an obscure. Who's Danger Mouse?
Exactly.
On Adele's album. Like, I don't know.
And that album, I was looking. They have like so many other producers on all that on different tracks on the album, but. Yeah,
but just a testament to his skills and ability, because I was thinking about on my way here, I think everybody in my life, I could ask them and they wouldn't know Danger Mouse or Brian Burton, maybe, but they would definitely know at least one of his tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like of all walks of life, all the people that I know.
Yeah, because he's crossed different genres whilst maintaining his sound, which is crazy. Yeah.
So very impressive.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun to talk about this guy. So I think anything else for our general overview section?
That's good. I was like, oh, well, what song are we going to play now, though? Because
we had a lot.
We had a lot, and my next one was like kind of an early thing, his very first release. Should we just spin that?
Let's do it. Some early Brian Burton.
I'll play this. We'll tell you about what this is in a second. That was the Chilling Effects, or from the Chilling Effect original motion picture score, track called Over from the Start by an artist called Pelican City, which is Brian Burton, Danger Mouse's first pseudonym. He put out this album, and he says original motion picture score, but it was an imaginary movie that didn't get made. He touches on his kind of approach of making music, where he wanted to create a movie in sound kind of thing, and he put this out. This is very early on. This was 1999 this came out.
Yeah.
You could probably consider this his first official release, because I don't know if he was really doing any in 99 SoundCloud didn't exist, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
no, as far as I know.
Yeah.
As far as I know, that's straight up.
Yeah, and he's not really a big internet person, which will
He's a pretty chill person. We haven't really said that.
He's a chill person. Yeah.
He's a pretty conservative, low-key, quiet, generally person, and he seems very nice.
Yeah.
He seems very intelligent,
very chill,
very down to earth,
which is, I think, maybe a big good trait to have if you're going to collaborate with a lot of people.
Yeah, he's not Mr. like bombastic energy.
Yeah,
it has to be this way, my way or the highway.
Exactly. Yeah.
He knows how to kind of switch his vibe and work with different people.
Yeah.
So, what is that? Fluid? He's,
maybe
some kind of fluidity.
Yeah.
I
don't know. He doesn't seem to he doesn't strike me as someone that would change to cater for someone. He just strikes me as someone as himself, but he's very sort of.
No, that's true. You're probably more right.
Open and.
That sounds more accurate for Brian Burton.
Yeah.
Listen to Jay, everybody. Yeah, so awesome. Let's get into this guy. Let's go back to his early life.
Yeah.
Let's hop in our time machine, and we're going to New York. I know. I was trying to think. I just did a little sound effect.
Should have a Twilight Zone. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Some kind of sound effect for our time machine. We're flying to New York.
Right.
We are in White Plains, New York.
Right.
And Brian Joseph Burton is born.
Yes. He also spent much of his childhood in Spring Valley, New York. Neither of these places I really know about. I've heard of White Plains. It's kind of like it's out there. It's not in the middle of the city, right?
It's uptown New York.
Is it uptown? Okay.
Or upstate.
Upstate New York. Yeah.
I think. I'm not sure. I've never been over there, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what it says on the internet. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Spring Valley.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about his super early childhood. I don't have any more notes on this stuff. But eventually he moved to Stone Mountain, Georgia. Yeah. Which is a suburb of Atlanta.
Yeah. And I think he was pretty young when he was there. He was definitely a teenager when he was in Atlanta. So
and he went to high school there.
Okay. Yeah.
So he went to Stone Mountain High School in Georgia.
Right. Yeah.
Redan High School.
Yeah.
Or Redan. I don't know how to pronounce anything.
Then he eventually went to Athens, Georgia, right?
Not Athens, Greece.
Not Athens, Greece. Athens, Georgia. He pursued a degree in telecommunications at the University of Georgia. He had a scholarship for that.
Good for him.
That's what we know about that. Well, thank you, Wikipedia. We'll be expanding beyond the basic Wikipedia facts pretty soon here.
We got to get this.
We want to get this out.
It's the same info in all the interviews and stuff if we find it elsewhere, whatever.
And he doesn't really talk much about his childhood.
Yeah, he's not like a big anecdotal person telling you what's going on, like blabbermouth. He's like we said, conservative, and he's just cool, calm, collected.
Well, there is only one thing I know about his childhood, and it is this.
He's the greatest. He's fantastic. Wherever there is danger, he'll be there. He's the ace. He's amazing. He's the strongest. He's the quickest. He's the best. Danger Mouse. Danger Mouse. Danger Mouse.
There you go. The 1980s, I think, British cartoon series Danger Mouse, which Brian Burton used to watch when he was a kid, and I used to watch it as a kid as well. So we have something in common.
Oh, there you go.
Because I used to love this show, and he did as well. So
I never saw that.
yeah, it was on. I used to be 5 years old. It would be on TV in the UK, and I'd be like, if I had a day off school, I was sick or whatever, I'd be like,
Sick.
Yeah.
We're using scare quotes there for the audio people. For the podcast
there you
people.
go,
Sometimes we spoiled the people on the video.
yeah.
But we
Weird
love
silence.
We're mainly here for the audio people. Okay.
Yes.
For purely podcast people, you're our favorite.
Right.
But we like the video people too.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just touch on this. When he's at the University of Georgia, he was a DJ for the university radio station. And he was like a radio station, disc jockey for WUOG FM. So obviously he's into music, and he's getting more and more into music as he goes through like his teens and into his early adulthood.
Yeah.
And then kind of, looping back around to Danger Mouse, this is where he got his name. So from like 1998 to 2003, he'd been releasing some remix CDs and records under the stage name Danger Mouse. And he was performing also. And one thing he would do, he was kind of shy, so he would dress up as Danger Mouse or a mouse outfit,
Right.
just generally, and called himself Danger Mouse. And that was his stage persona type thing.
Yeah.
Da-da-da.
What's that other guy, DJ, that has the big head?
Dead Mouse.
Dead Mouse. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I don't.
Yeah.
But he came second, right? Brian Burton was first.
I
think.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Let us know.
Let us know.
These questions come up.
Drop it in the comments.
For real, we'd love to see that. That's interesting.
Yeah, he said because he was in college and he was starting to mess around with music, and he DJ'd because he said it was the only way to make money out of music. And he said at the time there was a DJ that he really kind of was into called DJ Smurf. And so when he was thinking of a name for himself, he just went straight to cartoon like Smurfs and it was like Danger Mouse. And he said he never thought it would stick, but there you go. And
two decades later.
Yeah. So yeah, and he said he never really got the humor of that cartoon because it's like British humor when he was a kid, and he said he still doesn't really get it now as an adult. But I did. I got it. I loved it. It was, if you don't know, it was basically like a bumbling. It was like a mouse that I think lived in a post office box. I might be thinking about something else right now. And he had this little sidekick called Penfold, and it was just kind of like a spy. He was like solving spy shit. Yeah.
I can't even speak right now. A detective?
Like a kind of a detective / spy.
He's like a Sherlock mouse.
Yeah. Penfold, I think, was like a little mole-looking character.
Sounds like...
It was funny, though. I used to love it.
Sounds good.
It was like short, snappy, fun. Yeah.
Like a little half-hour cartoon?
Yeah. Even less than that, maybe. I think like 20 minutes or something. I don't know.
With all those ads.
Yeah.
So that's great, though. Yeah. Check that out. I think Jay put up a picture of Danger Mouse on the video.
I put up that video up, yeah.
So that's dope.
Yeah.
That's some high production value, Jay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're kind of jumping around here because we're not going super narrative because this guy has too much to talk about basically. So we're kind of going over a little bit, but we're talking about the kind of early 2000s, late 90s basically. So he's he releases this music. It's basically trip hop ish.
The Pelican City
Like
stuff.
the Chilling Effect in
Yeah,
1999.
Yeah.
Rhode Island in 2000.
Yeah.
And
And it is a bit, you can tell he's early on in his career, like musically in this, but it's still very good. But and there's something about it you can tell is sort of fresh.
especially coming from later stuff that
Yeah,
Danger
yeah.
Mouse worked on, and looking back at that,
Right.
100% you could see where he came from.
Yeah.
And it's very cool. So I do recommend listening to these early albums,
Yeah.
just for the historic
Definitely. Yeah.
reasons. But the music is pretty good.
Yeah, and then he was at college. He was DJing, playing out. And then the Grey album, right? Like we're about this.
Let me just finish
I
my
mean,
thought
is there
on-
anything else?
No, the
Okay.
last thought I was going to
Okay.
say was he released this Pelican City stuff and those like albums. He was a student as well.
Yeah,
So I think we're caught up. He's back. He's in college.
in Georgia.
Yes.
Yes.
And then, then take it away, Jay.
Yeah, and then so the way he puts this, he was just in his room cleaning it out, and I think he was listening to Jay-Z's album. What was that album called? The Black Album.
The Black Album,
The Black
yeah.
Album. Yeah. And he decided, and then he's somehow like, I don't know if he was listening to that or was he listening to the Beatles' White Album. He was listening to one of those albums when he was cleaning his room, but he had the idea of like combining those two albums together, and he just basically decided to do it. He spent about 3 days. He said his technique was he went through both albums, every song, and he was finding like chops out of the song. So out of the Beatles one, he was like finding like drum beats that didn't have any vocals on it, like isolated like moments, kind of like Jay Dilla style, you know, like finding those like moments that might be like half a second, but like you can use them sort
But
of
it's
thing.
just a clear kick drum or something you can take out.
So he was taking all of these. He like methodically like chopped them out of every song of both albums, put them in a like file system kind of thing, and then he like started trying to like make beats by combining all of these like chops that he had.
So for people who don't know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
Jay-Z had an album called the Black Album.
Right,
The Beatles had an album called it was self-titled, but it's known as the White Album.
right,
And Brian Burton, known as Danger Mouse, mixed the two up.
and called it
The Grey
the
Album.
Grey Album. Yeah,
The Black Album, the White Album, he made the Grey Album.
Yeah.
So it's all Jay-Z's vocals,
Yeah.
and it's all Beatles music from the White Album, which is a double LP
Yeah.
from the 60s.
Should we
It's
spin
really
it?
a really sporadic album, which is really good. It's probably one of my favorite Beatles albums.
the White Album, not
The
Grey
White,
Album.
yeah, not the Grey Album. The Grey Album's it's fine.
Yeah.
It's interesting to listen to, but I don't put that on to like enjoy music.
What are some hits from the White Album that I might know of?
I mean, like Helter Skelter,
Okay.
Sexy Sadie,
Was this early
Dear
on?
Prudence.
I'm a Beatles newbie. This is terrible. Like, where in their career was this album? Like, was it
It was
later?
later.
Later, okay.
Towards the later side for sure,
All right.
like like 67 or something.
Oh, okay.
I think
Okay. Yeah.
60s. Yeah, I would say almost confidently 67, but that's just off the top
Okay.
of my head.
Yeah.
But very cool. So he mixed it's all Jay-Z's vocals over these chopped up reconfigurations of these samples from the White Album,
Yeah.
and it's the Grey Album. And so I think
And he wasn't even really doing this to release it. Like, he was just doing it as a challenge. He said he always used to do these challenges all the time. And this is another one of his challenges, and he pressed up quite a few CDs though. I think I heard some news reports say maybe 1,000 copies or something like that.
right.
Gave them all out for free to his friends and his friends' friends.
But like, piggybacking off of what you just said, I think he was almost more interested in creating this to show off his skills as a producer
Right.
to other producers.
Which worked, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about in a sec. Yeah.
No,
but
100%.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I want to do something artistic and show the world.
Yeah.
It was more like almost like a resume type thing.
Right.
Like here I am. I know I could do these cool skills. I got these skills.
Yeah.
I got to show everybody what I can do.
Yeah.
And that's just what he did. Released it. It's I don't know. I didn't really say it at the beginning, but Brian Burton and Danger Mouse, he's kind of got like this legendary status
Because of this.
because of this.
Yeah.
And then Dark Night of the Soul had some, I
Right.
think, issues being released as well. But just based on the people he's worked with,
Yeah.
and like the lore of this album, working with these two huge artists, Jay-Z and the Beatles,
Yeah.
doing something that people were unsure, is this legal? Like, does this work? Is this okay to release?
Well, let's give people a little taster of this.
Let's give a little taste.
Probably won't make it through the YouTube censors because of Beatles copyright police, but
Sorry, guys.
we'll see.
Fellow Americans, it is with the utmost pride and sincerity that I present this recording as a living testament and recollection of history in the making during our generation.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hov. H to the OV. I used to move snowflakes by the OZ. I guess even back then you can call me CEO of the ROC. Ho! Fresh out the frying pan into the fire. I be the music biz #1 supplier. Fly it in a piece of paper bearing my name. Got the hottest chick in the game wearing my chain. That's right, ho. Not DOC, but similar to them letters. No one could do it better. I check cheddar like a food inspector. My homie Strick told me, dude, finish your breakfast. So that's what I'ma do. Take you back to the dude with the Lexus. Fast forward the jewels and the necklace. Let me tell you dudes what I do to protect us. Shoot at you actors like movie directors. Say the movie dogs.
Now, before I finish, let me just say, I did not come here to show out. Did not come here to impress you. Because to tell you the truth, when I leave here, I'm gone. And I don't care what you think about me. But just remember, when it hits the fan run, whether it's next year, 10 years, 20 years from now, you'll never be able to say that these brothers lied to you, Jack.
Thing ain't lie. I done came through the block and everything that's fly. I'm like, Che Guevara with bling on. I'm complex. I never claim to have wings on. Nigga, I get my by any means on. Whenever there's a drought, get your umbrellas out because that's when I brainstorm. You can blame Sean, but I ain't invented the game. I just rolled the dice trying to get some change. And I do it twice, ain't no sense to me. Lying as if I am a different man. And I can blame my environment, but ain't no reason why I be buying expensive change. Hope you don't think users are the only abusers. Niggas getting high within the game. If you do, then how would you explain? I'm 10 years removed, still the vibe is in my veins. I got a hustler spirit, nigga, period. Check out my hat, yo, peep the way I wear it. Check out my swag, yo, I walk like a ball player. No matter where you go, you are what you are, player. And you can try to change, but that's just the top layer. Man, you was who you was before you got here. Only God can judge me, so I'm gone. Either love me or leave me alone.
There you go. From the Grey Album, from Danger Mouse, public service announcement. Beatles Jay-Z mashup.
I don't know what Jay-Z song that was, but that song, I could recognize it's Long, Long, Long off the second half of the White Album,
Okay.
the Beatles track. It's, I think George Harrison sings that one. It's
Yeah.
good.
This is just like an interesting thing. But yeah, it's not officially out there, but it's on SoundCloud and various
You
places.
can find it.
You can find it just with a quick Google search. But yeah, it'd be interesting to. I never really sort of dove into listening to this. I heard about it when it not long after it came out, or maybe not when it came, but you know, in lore, in the what
Right.
do they call it, urban legend lore or
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
No, it has that kind of
Yeah.
vibe to it.
Yeah.
In the zeitgeist of the music industry, which is
Yeah.
cool. For me personally, I'd still rather listen to the Black Album by itself or the White Album by itself. And the Gray Album, it's for me, it's in my head as like more of a novelty, like
yeah.
you know, oh, look at this, that's cool.
yeah.
And if you want to go in there and dive into that world, like we just listened to that track and it was really fun to listen to.
Yeah.
And it's interesting and intriguing and it gives you a different idea.
I think that's what I was going to say. It's like, if you haven't heard of those albums, it's like a good way to go listen to both of those albums separately and then listen to this.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of like a celebration of both albums in a way.
Yeah, I would
like,
highly recommend doing that.
mixtape style, yeah.
100%. So this Grey album kind of put Brian Burton on the map, so to speak.
Yeah, it got put on the internet. Someone uploaded it, or maybe more
it
than
leaked,
one person.
right?
Yeah, because he did do CDs, and someone uploaded it, and it blew up. Like at that time, it became like a viral underground album for people to check out.
Yeah,
and then because it kind of like leaked into the mainstream that this thing was out there, then obviously like the official lawyers had to sort of like try and block it. So I think like it wasn't Jay-Z's people, because here's the interesting thing. Jay-Z, coming from hip hop, encouraged sampling, and he released the full length acapellas for every song off of the Black Album. And
those were already out there.
Yeah, and I think that's what gave Brian Burton, Danger Mouse, the idea to do this, because someone had sent him the acapellas.
Gotcha.
And he was like, oh, okay. And so like this one news report I saw from the UK that came out around that time, they mentioned that Jay-Z kind of encouraged the use of people sampling it because he released the acapellas. Beatles not so happy about it, although it's not actually. The one thing that was interesting that they said is neither Jay-Z himself or any of the surviving Beatles members at that time ever publicly said anything about the Grey Album.
I was under the impression that both parties okayed the project.
They did,
even if it was after.
The way people say it is like a silent kind of acknowledgement. By them not saying anything out publicly, they're kind of
making a
condoning
statement
it
by not saying anything.
Yeah, but then of course, obviously the label people have to be label people, and there is copyright law and all that. And so there was this movement, I think, like they called it Grey Tuesday or whatever, all these fans to like promote this album because it was as like a protest against copyright law. So basically their argument was that copyright law stifles creativity and innovation if you're blocking people from being able to do what like Danger Mouse did in this sampling kind of way. I don't know. Here's the thing I feel like copyright law is a necessary thing, otherwise musicians and artists wouldn't get paid.
Right.
But at the same time, I was like, yeah, well, maybe they should be a little bit more flexible in allowing their stuff to be used. I know Beatles are notorious because they have this like really expensive back catalogue that they're trying to protect and make a lot of money out of. Like,
and also, generally people don't sample the Beatles.
Because of that, because they're big and scary and have too much money and lawyers and shit like that. And,
Is that...
Because that's what happened to Danger Mouse. He got a cease and desist letter from EMI.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, who control this stuff. And he said he called them up. Like, he got this letter and he just called them on the phone and he, like, explained the situation,
right,
what he was doing, like how he wasn't making money out of it and stuff like that. And so I don't think it really went beyond a cease and desist. Like, and they haven't really sort of actively gone to shut it down because, like, you can still find it now,
It's an interesting thing, and I think generally that's why we ended up talking about it now, because it kind of happened and the music's out there, but it wasn't officially released, and everyone's kind of okay with it, but not enough to fully release it and
not to have it on Spotify,
not put Danger Mouse's name on it and be like, this is my music,
right?
So it's a weird situation,
which is fine because I think it's underground, it's out there, and the main thing of this is it really put Brian Burton, Danger Mouse on the map with other artists and other musicians, which started to lead to him to have this career as a producer.
Pretty much.
I mean, Damon Albarn had heard only the Grey Album, and on the basis of that wanted to meet Danger Mouse to sort of, because apparently Damon Albarn was trying out different producers for the second Gorillaz album, and he'd heard the Grey Album, got Brian in to the studio, and they turned out to get along really well and make music really well. And then the second Gorillaz album happened.
Demon Days.
Demon Days off of the back of this. And various other people. I think like everyone that he's collaborated with since, like a lot of them first heard of him because of this.
Right.
Like viral underground, like
hit
kind of thing.
Yeah, so this was kind of the moment for Danger Mouse.
This is what blew him up. Sometimes with artists we don't know what it was.
There's no significant points.
Yeah, but with this it's very clear.
There's a clear catalyst.
Yeah.
Catalytic. I don't know. Catalytic event.
But separately of this, though, there was the moment that he first met CeeLo, right?
Oh yeah, so CeeLo.
And I think, I'm not sure, like, timeline-wise, like, there's this story out there, apparently, that Brian Burton, I'm going to say Brian Burton Danger Mouse, or should I just say
It's
Danger
synonymous
Mouse?
either way, either way.
There's this moment where Brian went up to CeeLo, like, it was some show that I think a talent show that he'd had the opportunity to perform at. I'm not sure as a DJ or whatever, but then CeeLo was there
With his group, right?
with his group, which is, I forget the name of,
The Goodies or
something like that, yeah. And Outkast was there as well.
right.
And apparently he said he went up to CeeLo because he'd been listening. He grew up, I think he's from Atlanta. Right?
Yeah.
CeeLo.
Yeah, I think so. And he was a fan of their group.
Yeah, found the group, listened as a teenager to this music, went up to him and approached him. But apparently CeeLo says hasn't have any memory of this incident happening. So
Really?
yeah.
Oh no, I did read that. Yeah. I did read that, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it either didn't happen or he was high. He's like, didn't remember. I don't know. I don't know if he gets high.
It was the Goody Mob.
Goody Mob, right?
Goody
okay.
Mob was the band name.
I don't know too much about. That's the interesting thing, because when Nas, I think the first time I heard of Danger Mouse was in the UK, because Nas Barkley came out. They had that song Crazy.
Yeah.
Came out super huge there. It was like #1 forever. They actually, I've found this out today, it was the first ever UK single to get to #1 off of downloads only.
Oh wow.
Like not retail sales, but
That's
like
pretty cool.
iTunes paid downloads.
That's when that was happening, like mid 2000s.
Yeah,
It was getting real hot.
And so that's when I first heard of Danger, because he was on stage with CeeLo, performing all the TV shows, performing this song kind of thing.
Okay.
And their whole image when they rolled out, it was both of them. Like it wasn't just CeeLo.
It was like a production duo.
Production duo, and they did all these photo shoots. I think they even did some funny recreations of like movie scenes, like Pulp Fiction and
nice.
Napoleon Dynamite and stuff like that.
Okay,
like
nice.
they did all this, and they said the reason they did that is because they didn't. Brian said they
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's Danger Mouse is dressed as Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay, I gotta see that.
And CeeLo is like the was it Pedro?
Yeah,
or
Pedro.
Yeah, he's
Vote
dressed
for Pedro.
Yeah. And they're like dressed up like this in these photo shoots. And Brian said it was like, it's fun. It also like they were like thinking about the image for like Nas Barkley, and they were like they didn't want to like dress up in a certain way and try and like people to like think they're a certain thing because they're wearing certain fashion and all that. So instead they just went crazy and they dressed up as like movie characters and all kinds of crazy shit, and like even at live shows and all that. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and I don't know. CeeLo Green, he's pretty bombastic with his outfits and pretty stand out.
Yeah.
So I don't know, they kind of leaned into that.
I saw him at Jazz Fest, by the way, I want to say, and he played
Oh, that's
crazy.
right.
I think I mentioned this on a previous episode.
Classic.
He was trying to get sing-along happening. No one was singing along.
Really?
I feel bad. I was like, don't people know this song here? What is this? It's interesting.
I always like the South Park joke. And I don't know why CeeLo Green was a character in one episode.
Really?
Like 10 years ago or something, and there's like an audience. I think he was performing, and the audience is like, CeeLo, don't leave. We love your one song or something.
Yeah.
Or no, they said, we love all your song. Like it feels like they're gonna say, we love all your songs. Like keep playing.
Yeah.
But he says just the singular. We love all your song, implying that Crazy is his one hit wonder type thing. I always think that's funny.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's CeeLo's out there doing his thing. He's on American Idol or what? I don't know.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop. I was like, I guess he was like mainstream in the UK, but I didn't really know where he came from. See, like when I think that was what I was trying to say. Like you mentioned Goody Mob. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anything about them, so I didn't really know where CeeLo Green came from, or all of a sudden he was just like there, #1 in UK, and like
That's what I thought.
really good soul singer. And I was like, where'd this guy come from?
He came from Danger Mouse.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what we're saying basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. So I guess let's kind of move on.
Yeah.
What else is he working on? So he does Gorillaz, Demon Days, great album. I mean that, and we had that on the list to play. Feel Good Inc.
So I guess like the three like big projects after the Grey album, right, was Demon Days, Gorillaz, not in this order. I'm not saying this in order or anything. Ghetto Pop Life was first, actually, which was a album he did with Gemini, the Gifted One, who I think is a rapper out of somewhere. I don't know too much about him. This is a Danger Mouse episode. I didn't look him up. So Ghetto Pop Life was like the first big thing. Then the Gorillaz Demon Days, and then I think Gnarls Barkley Sent Elsewhere. Like, and those are like 3 really strong, like,
yeah, I mean,
things, you know, coming straight out there, you know.
Like he's at this point, he's not exactly a tried and true producer, but he's
still
he's getting to that level. Yeah. And at this point, after these 3 projects, he has huge projects under his belt.
And like, he has a little bit of bravado around him, because I think he might have met Signl before really diving into the Gorillaz project. I think.
Oh yeah.
But they didn't complete any work until after, or it didn't get released until after the Gorillaz album. But I say some bravado because if he went up to Signl and he was like, you know, I want to work. It would be cool to work with you, sort of thing. I'm not sure exactly how he said it, and Signl was like, "Oh yeah, we should do a track. We get in the studio." And then Brian was like, "I don't do single tracks. Like, I only do like albums." And then Signl was like, "All right, yeah, we'll do an whole album." Yeah. Apparently, that's the story out there.
That's so funny.
And then yeah, he would just Danger Mouse was like putting together all of these demos and then send them to Signl, and then they'd have a lot of conversations with each other in the studio whilst listening to this music, and a lot of the lyrics came out of their conversations, apparently. Like, so, and they're talking about all kinds of different things.
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So we've gotten to the point. He's at this peak. He's doing the best work that he's done ever. Brian Burton, we're talking about. 2008, he worked on Beck's Modern Guilt. Mm-hmm. I don't think we don't want to. I don't want to talk about all this stuff. I don't know.
Sure,
we could talk about Brian Burton all day.
Yeah.
He worked with the Black Keys a lot. He did 4 albums with them: Attack and Release, Brothers, El Camino, and Turn Blue.
Yeah.
And I think he had a big hand in the Black Keys because they were always kind of bluesy and kind of garagey.
It seems like,
once they started working with Brian Burton, they popped off, and now they're playing arenas and stuff.
See, I didn't even know that Danger Mouse had produced El Camino, for example.
Yeah.
But I know like there were a couple of these like Black Keys albums that are like big and got them on the map.
Right.
I thought it was just them. I didn't know that.
That's what I'm saying.
Danger Mouse was part
Danger
of it.
Mouse is up in these people's business, like helping them achieve their goals. Yeah. And audience members that just hear the Black Keys just think like, oh, the Black Keys are killing it. A new single out? Nice.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're on tour and playing arenas? Good for the Black Keys. But I think Danger Mouse had a pretty big part in that.
It's interesting he takes like different roles, right? Because with Gnarls Barkley, it's a collaboration, and he's on stage, and he's part of the image.
Right.
Then, you know, obviously Gorillaz is Gorillaz. Like, no, like that's about the animation. Like, and then like Broken Bells, he again is a part of the image, you know. But then, yeah, Black Keys, he's not. He's a producer, you know. Mm-hmm. He kind of shifts between these collaborations where he's part of, like, the face of the music and then just being, like, behind-the-scenes producer, right? But still sometimes having a heavy hand in the music, just as even as a producer.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, like, a crossover. He's a producer, musician crossover. Yeah. Like, he's definitely both. Like, he's an artist, you know. We have to call him an artist.
Yeah.
You know, it's more specific than producing or just being a musician. Like he actively has his artistic hands in both sides of the project.
Right.
So, you know, he's doing a lot of good work.
Yeah.
From musicianship, you know, music theory, playing different instruments.
Yeah.
I think he plays guitar. I think he plays keys.
A bit of everything, I think.
Drums.
Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. So he's a juggernaut of a producer.
I think he's at times called himself not a musician, but
But he is.
And I think over the years, this is the interesting thing about his career, is he has openly said that he's learning on the job, kind of thing.
Right.
Like he's doing all of these projects, he's learning and getting better. And especially the Gorillaz album, he said that working with Damon, like he said he's learned more from working with Damon than anyone else, like musically, which is really interesting. Because you don't hear much about how Damon album works. you hear. I've seen like some clips of him in the studio. He's getting like angry at someone. Or whatever. I've seen him, but you know, but we know he's like prolific, but we don't hear too much. About
He's
him.
another mysterious juggernaut producer.
Yeah, and Brian's like, you know, he said Damon could be very critical and harsh, like with his feedback, but also he said he's never had an argument with Damon about music. Like, so they got on really well, and he said he learned so much about song structure and like, yeah, like I think because you know Brian was coming from all that sample bass background, can't read or write music. He's completely self-taught. He's trying to like figure out all this stuff, and he learned a lot from Damon about song structure and all those sort of tricks and techniques that you can use to pull things together, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think as he was working with these artists who he's never worked with, like you said, he's learning from them on the spot.
Yeah.
But he made sure to say in these interviews, like he wants to like have artistic, creative like abilities and make changes and add to this project.
Yeah.
Have his kind of, you know, artistic abilities put into this. But at the same time, he's worried and he doesn't like want to ruin what this artist has.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he goes to work with the Shins, he said like, "Why? Like the Shins they're going. Like I'm a fan of the Shins. Should I get into this project and put my stuff all over it?
Right.
Is that gonna ruin the project?"
Yeah.
Because this guy also says like he doesn't know what he's doing on the next project. Like
Yeah.
and I don't know. Let's talk about Broken Bells.
Yeah.
We're about there in the narrative. We're about the 2010.
Oh, and we got to play some music as well, because I think we've been talking a lot.
No, yeah. Let's play a track off Broken Bells.
Okay. The High Road, or
I think that's the only one we have on our list, and it is, you know, quote unquote the best.
okay.
It's a great track. This is Brian Burton and James Mercer of the Shins in their band Broken Bells.
We're bound to wait all night. She's bound to run amok. Invested in nothing at anyhow. To each his own. The garden's sorting out. She curls her lips on a bow. I don't know if you're dead or not. If you anyone. Come on and get the meaning right before you open up your eyes. There's army of so many hands to analyze. Come on and get your overdose collected at the borderline. They want to get up in your head, 'cause they know so decline. The high road is hard to find. A detour you're in line. Tell all of your friends get apart. The dawn to end all night. That's all we hoped it was. A break from the warfare in your house. To each his own. The soldier is bailing out. He curled his lips on the bow. And I don't know if the dead can talk to anyone. Come on and get the minimum before you open up your eyes. This army is so many hands. Are you one of us? Come on and get your overdose collected at the borderline. They want to get up in your head, 'cause they know get lost, be your guide.
That was The High Road by Broken Bells here on Roots to Grooves. Jesse, tell me about Broken Bells.
I love that track. That's The High Road, like Jay said. I just wanted to say real quick, I like that track because the production value, James Mercer has great lyrics and melodic abilities. And then Danger Mice.
Danger Mice? Is that his band?
Yeah, when he has kids, maybe.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so Broken Bells. I think we're talking about like 2010, this album came out, and Brian Burton and James Mercer formed this band, Broken Bells. I think they were both looking for a different project to work on. I think Brian was kind of, I don't know, they were both feeling the same thing, him and James. They were both like, they wanted something different or new or novel. They wanted to get away from what they were working on.
Yeah.
Like maybe their careers were feeling stagnant when they're just like, oh, make an album, do the cycle tour, do it again. For whatever reason, they were feeling like a little bit bored or they wanted something new. And they had met up. I'm not sure how they met or exactly what happened. Because at the same time, they were also working on Dark Night of the Soul, which James Mercer is also on.
Oh, okay.
So for whatever reason, they came into contact and met each other and decided to form a band. Yeah. And they came out with this record, self-titled Broken Bells in 2010. And it's really, really good. That's how I kind of like came into knowing who Danger Mouse was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not even Gorillaz or Gnarls Barkley?
I mean, in hindsight, I was like, oh. Okay. I was one of the people who was like, oh, I don't know, Danger Mouse was on this track, and this track.
Right. Yeah.
And some of this came up in this research today. But like when I knew Broken Bells, it was just, I looked it up. James Mercer, I knew it was him because the Shins, and I love the Shins. And like Brian Burton, okay, some random dude.
Okay,
awesome. Yeah. But at that point, I didn't know who Danger Mouse was.
Right. Okay.
Or who Brian Burton was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is sort of like one of the pivotal moments maybe for Danger Mouse in his career, because like you were saying, they both wanted to do something different. James Mercer of the Shins and Brian, when they decided to do Broken Bells, and it was Brian said that he'd done a lot of production work at that point. I think Gnarls Barkley was like the last sort of true collaboration, and then since then it was a lot of production work for different people and artists, and he said he wanted to be a little bit more hands-on with the music again, because he was starting to play more instruments, he said. And then meanwhile, James, I think he just got off a big tour with the Shins or whatever. I think he literally told the band members, like, be prepared to go on a hiatus for like a year and a half, because I want to do something else,
Yeah, they just got off the Wincing the Night Away tour, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
Which is also a good album. I love all the Shins. Go check them out.
I'll check them out, yeah.
For sure. We'll talk about them one day.
And then, so they just basically collaborated, like writing together, like
exactly. They went into the studio, Brian's studio in, I think, LA.
Right.
And they didn't bring any songs in, like consciously.
They just started from scratch.
Yeah, walk into the room with no ideas. That's cool. They just had a kind of a playful attitude. Brian Burton has a bunch of instruments and stuff, old keyboards, just wacky,
a lot of toys.
Instruments, silly, even like childlike keyboards and stuff. That you can consider a toy. And so they just went in with this really create this chill, fun environment, and let's create some songs from purely scratch, the two of us in this room together. Yeah. And that album is what came out. Yeah. So it's very good. I think it's really high quality. Yeah. And I suggest you listen to it. So then they came out with another album after the disco a couple of years later. Did another cycle for that. I don't know if it's as good, but it's got some very, very good moments. It's probably just a little bit not as good as the first album, Broken Bells. Okay. But it's very good. Don't even take that. Take it with a grain of salt. But then I wanted to touch on this new album that we just got word of while we're talking about Broken Bells. We got a new album coming out.
Hot take. It's called Into the Blue.
What do you know about it, Jay?
Nothing. We don't know.
Nobody does.
We know the title maybe, but we don't know when it's coming out. It doesn't have a release date yet.
Just not even the next year or any tentative dates?
Actually, no. I think I saw it was scheduled for somewhere soon.
So like 2023?
No, hang on. say something interesting, and I'll look this up.
Okay. Well, I suggest everybody listen to Broken Bells' first album, second album, and also the Shins. And then I'll kind of transition what we're talking about to this next album that I really want to talk about is Rome, which is an album written by Danger Mouse and an Italian composer, Daniele Lupi.
Yeah.
I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But that's just another very good album featuring different artists collaborating with each other.
I found nothing on the release of the Broken Bells album.
Oh,
so
nothing.
But
good research, Jay. Thanks for that.
But I also need to fact check myself from the Electric Guest episode, because we played a track from Electric Guest, and I said it sounded really like the same to like a Broken Bells track, and you were like, "Oh, really? Well, that which?" And then I realized in my research I was completely wrong. It wasn't a Broken Bells track. It was a Daniele Lupi and Danger Mouse track with Norah Jones.
Oh, okay.
Because I was talking about Norah, and you were like, Broken Bells and Norah Jones? I don't think so. And I was like, yeah.
It's like, okay.
I was adamant.
He knows something I don't.
So,
well, thank you for bringing that up.
I got that wrong. Yeah, because that's the thing. He does so many different collaborations. I get confused between who's who.
100%. And like through doing this research, being so close with it, me and Jay, at least I think I can speak for myself, but you could see how easy it is to get discombobulated with what you're talking about, because a lot of his music does sound similar.
Well, that's the weird thing I thought about that track we played, The High Road from Broken Bells. It sounded like it could have been a Gorillaz track, which to me is like, I thought Damon Albarn had his stamp on Gorillaz, but that just shows me how much of a stamp the Danger Mouse had on the sound of that album. Like,
it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so you could just, some of these have the same quality as far as the production, like the EQing, like the warm sound of the drums, like we see a lot. And so you can kind of pick it up, and it's like, instead of, we're conflating it, but like sometimes we just hear that Danger Mouse and we think it's from one album, but it was Danger Mouse from another album.
Right.
So it's everything's Danger Mouse.
Yeah.
I'm scared now. I think every album out there has Danger Mouse on it somewhere. Probably.
We're in danger of, I think we might have a mice infestation in this podcast.
Danger Mice.
Should we play this track?
We got a track off of Rome. What are you going to play, Jay?
Black, featuring Norah Jones.
Touched the walls of the city streets and didn't explain. Sadly showed us our ways. I've never asked him why. Cast down, it was heaven sent, and to the church, no intent to repent. On my knees, just to cry. Until you travel to that place you can. Last pain is gone and all that's left is black. Gray nights he's coming to me, and someday they'll punish my deeds and they'll find all the crimes. But then they ask when they're gonna see them. Then they're gonna ask to feel the ghosts, the walls, the dreams. Well, I've got mine. Last, those coming came and they never looked back. With blinding stars in their eyes, but all they saw was black. Fooled them, hoping to seem like the slayer of evil, but the product of greed, and it's not a mask, so be honest with me. We can't afford to ignore that I'm the disease. Practical since we had to be, and when they were old, they came back to me and they tried. Oh, they tried. And when you follow through
Really great track, Black, featuring Nora Jones off the album Rome by Danger Mouse and Daniel UP. That is the track that I was thinking of when I was listening to that Electric Guest track.
There's
can't remember the name of
a lot of similarities between Broken Bells, Electric Guest, and it's Danger Mouse.
I think it's the Danger Mouse.
He's the glue.
Yeah.
And he's producing these things that sound, not too dissimilar. They have their own things. Like this album it's not like listening to the same Broken Bells album. It's got its own life,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's some similarities, but it's a very different album. And this one's kind of based on like Italian cinema, I think, kind of movies.
Yeah.
Like the thematic, you hear the strings in there.
And they did actually record a lot of this in Rome. Daniel Lupi's, he's Italian, this guy, by the way. And he's also a crazy, great musician. He has some solo stuff out there. His albums are really good. After I discovered this album, Rome, I went and looked at Daniel Lupi's back catalogue, and he's got some really good tracks out there. And he's all it's like old school Italian funk, like recorded on tape, like reel to reel. And they recorded all this album on tape as well. And Danger Mouse said he'd never had any experience with that, so Daniel Lupi was manning the tape machines and showing him all that sort of stuff.
Good stuff.
Apparently there's some like musicians on this album that are like in their 70s and 80s. I don't know if this is like the orchestra stuff maybe. They said they were trying to focus a lot of their time on getting great performances from these musicians.
Nice.
Versus enjoying
they couldn't stay
Rome.
awake.
Yeah, versus enjoying Rome, although Brian did say that he enjoyed a lot of food when he was in Rome. It was just like making music and eating food.
When in Rome.
Exactly. Literally. Also, Beatles connection. Do you know who Nora Jones's father is? No.
Brian Jones?
No. Ravi Shankar.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
That's famous sitar player.
That's Nora Jones' dad?
That's her dad. Ravi Shankar did an album with George Harrison.
Yeah, I've heard of Ravi, but I did not know that connection to Nora Jones.
Yeah. She has a brother as well, I think. Half brother that's also a sitar player. Yeah. That's why when she first hit the scene, I think with her debut solo album in the UK, that was kind of what they were saying, like for the PR marketing things to like get you to know her. They were like, her dad is like Ravi Shankar.
Okay, well that makes sense.
But over the years, that fact has been lost because she's gone on and had a crazy, massive 20-year career. So
right. Well, it sounds like she had a good start.
Yeah.
With a couple good connections.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Well, I think she had a rocky relationship with him. It was estranged for a while as well. So.
Well, it seems like their names aren't the same. Seems like there's some disconnect there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. More power to them. Hope everyone's good out there. Let's move on. This is what I mostly want to talk about, The Dark Night of the Soul. This is about the same time period. I think this came out in 2010. But I think it was being made in 2009. And I think there was a little bit of an issue with this getting out for, I don't know if it was samples or some kind of issues with the label getting it put out. But it was eventually released in 2010. Yeah, I mean, so this is kind of, I don't know, this is a great album. This is almost, it's like a masterpiece type feel for me.
Interesting. I know of this. I know I've listened to maybe all of it or some of it, but I feel like it's been a long time. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
If you haven't, I would, this is something that I would get on like vinyl. It's just a really great project. It's really, I mean, it's just very dynamic. All the songs are filled with these different characteristics that feel very different, but when you listen to it all the way through, it's very cohesive.
Gruff Reese is on this as well.
Everybody's on this.
Do you know him? He was in Super Furry Animals. Do you know them?
No.
I think they were a Welsh band. They were pretty big in the UK. But Gruff Reese, we should do an episode on him actually, because he's kind of like in the Jim James realm of music. I feel like sonically. I was surprised to see him on this album. I didn't know He was
Yeah.
there.
No, Wayne Coyne from the Shins is on here. James Mercer. Wayne Coyne from Flaming Lips.
Julian Casablancas.
Julian Casablancas is on here from The Strokes.
Iggy Pop.
Susan Vega. Suzanne.
David Lynch.
Yeah. You guys already said Iggy Pop, Black Francis from the Pixies.
Yeah.
Who else? Nina Person from the Cardigans. Scott Spillane of Neutral Milk Hotel.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, every song has like a different feature from a notable artist.
Damn.
So it's like it's packed.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to play a song off this, but on our list I did put that song called "Little Girl" by Danger Mouse.
Yeah.
And additionally, Sparkle Horse, who contributed a lot to this album, and we'll touch on that. Do we want to play a song off this or not?
Yeah. Do we want to? Yeah, should play it now.
So the first song we opened up this podcast with was the first track off Dark Night of the Soul. And we're about to play, I think it's the fourth track called Little Girl, where Julian Casablancas of the Strokes did vocals and the guitar solo. And then Danger Mouse and Sparkle Horse mostly took care of the rest, I think.
Okay.
Trick that people use to make you think they're smart is confidence when actually they're lost in the dark. Only someone with the mind of a child says will grow up. Cause surfing down the avalanche, your life will show up. It's nice to be loved, it can never
So there was a legal dispute with EMI over this record.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know. They don't specify. I couldn't find that anywhere, but it was some kind of legal dispute. I'm not sure if it was because of the features from different artists all on the same album or what it was, but EMI they acknowledged it and they had a memo to Danger Mouse, or they released a statement. Here it is. Danger Mouse is a brilliant, talented artist for whom we have enormous respect. We continue to make every effort to resolve this situation, and we are talking to Brian Burton, Danger Mouse, directly. Meanwhile, we need to reserve our rights. So I don't know. It took a while for it to get out.
About this album? That's weird. Why?
That's what I said. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
did they have a personal vendetta because of the Beatles thing? Something?
I have no idea. But so there was a book released by David Lynch, which was like a picture, a photography book. What do you call it? A book of photos that went alongside as a visual for this music, for Dark Night of the Soul.
Cool.
The album. But there was this legal dispute, and they weren't able to release the music with the book at the same time like they wanted as a package. You know, if you ordered this album, you'd get the music, you get the book for visuals, and it's a whole package deal. Yeah. They couldn't do it. So for legal reasons, Brian Burton, he enclosed CDR, which was completely blank, but it was ready to be written on, but enclosed in a thing and sent out with the book, with the pictures and everything. And it said, for legal reasons, enclosed CDR contains no music. Use it as you will. And they just released that. And then eventually, before the music was legally released, it got leaked to the internet.
Right.
So just more crazy stuff going on with releases with Brian Burton and Danger Mouse and his music.
That's weird.
But eventually this album came out and it's very good. It's high quality. It's very good production. A lot of really cool, good artists. Yeah. And I that song we just listened to, Little Girl, it's a great track. And there's just more really good creative stuff on that album.
Yeah, I think I definitely came across this, and I want to say, let me see, was it because David Lynch, because he came out with an album.
I don't think it had to do with David Lynch. I think it was a Danger Mouse thing with like distribution, because he was signed with Lex Records. Right. So there was just some issue with who was releasing it or who was publishing it or something.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. No, I was like, I was talking about how I discovered this album myself, I think. But I think in a weird roundabout way, I think it might have been because of David Lynch.
Oh, really?
Because he came out of an album. He makes music himself, and he did this one album. I can't remember the name of the title, but one of the tracks on there was Crazy Clown Time, and this is just really dark, weird shit, but it's really kind of cool. And I think I was like, what else is he featured on? What's this? Dark Night of the Soul? You know how you can click around and see artists that are featured on, stuff like that. Yeah, but I gotta go back and spin this album again. Dark Night of the Soul, really good.
I definitely recommend it. It's up there with my favorite stuff that I know Danger Mouse is on. The other thing I wanted to say about Dark Night of the Soul was mentioning Sparkle Horse. Yeah. Who is his own, person and his own artist. This guy, his name is Linkus, I think. Okay. Mark Linkus. So this is like basically one of the last things that he did, because in 2010, March 6th, he died by suicide in Tennessee.
Oh, right.
And so it's just kind of a tragic thing, because he's fully on this album and he helped out a lot with it. But it was, I don't know the story, but he obviously had stuff going on, some sort of, illness or something that wasn't making him happy. Yeah. And he died by suicide, unfortunately. So it's just kind of a really tragic thing. Damn. Yeah. But I'm really glad that he was able to make it onto this last album. Yeah. I think he was a close, contributor, or what do you call it? A close confidant with Danger Mouse, with Brian Burton. Right. And some people have speculated that Brian Burton's production value has gotten worse since Mark Linkus's death. Really? And and I don't know, there's what has he come out with that's just as great as Demon Days, or Dark Night of the Soul, or Rome. Yeah. It seems like most of his great output was before that. And I don't want to speak to that because not that like I know. I was just reading about this in interviews and based off what people were saying. And that's even no anecdotal speculation. But I just want to touch on that. But rest in peace to Mark Linkous.
Right.
Sparkle Horse.
Yeah. I mean, after that album, there was another Broken Bells album.
Well, 100%. But even people say
Rotor.
After the Disco isn't as good as Broken Bells self-titled.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, people are saying that he can still produce and he's still Danger Mouse.
Yeah.
But some people have speculated that magic isn't quite what it was.
And I haven't heard it yet, but he did an album with Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs as well. Brian Burton. Lux Prima. I haven't heard it, though.
Oh, that's right. I didn't listen to that one either, but I read that. Yeah.
That was 2019. Yeah, that's sort of like where he's at now. I did want to sort of bring up, though, the Red Hot Chili Peppers album.
we glossed over that, though.
Dark.
We're back in...
The Getaway.
That's like 2014 or so?
2016, it has it here.
16.
Yeah, so if people don't know, we're big fans of Red Hot Chili Peppers here. We talked about them. I saw them play this year, which is great, with John Frusciante.
I saw them 4 years ago.
There you go. And as a fan, there are like maybe more than two.
You never saw him with Josh Klinghoffer, though.
No, so I didn't really want to. Sorry.
I'm sure that's what you would say. Of course.
Can Josh Klinghoffer actually play guitar? No, sorry.
Just barely. I think he was phoning it in.
I'm not even sure what he was doing. He was... sorry. But he's good.
Josh is great.
Actually, Josh Klinghoffer did do an electronic album with John Frusciante years ago, which is really good. Experimental, crazy shit.
I listened to that. It is good.
Yeah. But there's sort of like two albums, I think, that they never, like, you know, because they had their original guitarist that passed away years and years, decades ago. Yeah. Hillel. Decades ago. And then John Frusciante has been with them since, apart from 2 times where he left.
I think there was another one, like Dave Navarro or somebody.
That was after John Frusciante left the first time.
Oh, and then Dave came?
Dave Navarro came in. And they did an album called Blood Sugar. No, what was it called? One Hot Minute or something? Hot Minute.
1 Hot Minute.
1 Hot Minute. And then John Frusciante came back, did a bunch of albums. He left again. Then Josh Klinghoffer came in. So basically, like, if you see them play live now, they never play anything off of these 2 albums. Right? And also, so The Getaway.
But, like, I want to jump off that because I know they were saying, I don't know, I saw it just very recently. I can't remember, though. It just popped in when you said that. But Josh Klinghoffer wanted to play songs like Aeroplane. Yeah. That the Chili Peppers stopped playing because John Frusciante never felt good with that album.
Right.
He never felt like attached to it.
But I
mean, then Josh said, I don't care.
Yeah, I actually really like that album. Like,
it's good. It's funky.
Yeah. I saw them play live with Dave Navarro. That was my first ever show I went to. I think I probably said this before, in London, Wembley Arena.
I think we ended up talking about Chili Peppers every episode at some point.
But now it makes sense because we're talking about a producer of their not most recent album, but their album before.
Yeah.
And I haven't really, like, I think it's kind of probably like a standalone album that I think a lot of like Chili Peppers fans might not really be into, because it's historically, like, Chili Peppers have a certain sound and production to all of their albums. And this one...
And they've always used the same producer.
Rick Rubin, yeah. And this one, new guitarist and new producer. And it was a bit of a miss for me, it feels like, because it seemed a little bit like, oh, these old guys now are trying to, like, be hip. Mm-hmm. Like that, I know that wasn't like the intention or anything like that, but
yeah,
in a certain way, it comes off a little bit like that. You know, we've got this hip and young producer, a new guitarist to put some fat beats and Chili Peppers things. You know,
yeah,
that's what it seemed like a little bit, because like the production quality of the drums is very Danger Mouse, which I normally love on all of his stuff, but I'm not sure if it quite worked in this like album, Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Getaway. Like,
some of it feels a little weird knowing that Chad Smith is playing those drums and the drums sound like tiny.
Yeah, like his snare drum is like
It sounds
dead.
tinny and
On this album.
cardboardy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I'm not hating on Danger Mouse because the songs, they're great quality. Like when you look at it objectively, it's a well-produced track and it sounds good. It's a good song.
Yeah.
Talking about like The Getaway or whatever, anything off of that album.
Oh yeah, like the track I picked out, Dark Necessities, I thought was it's good. It's a good track. Like I like it.
Most Chili Pepper fans wouldn't say, "Oh, this is the masterpiece of the Chili Peppers," but a fan of music would say, "Oh, it's a decent song."
Yeah, and but I think it's a weird album because like I don't think they're ever gonna. I don't know if John Frusciante's gonna want to play any of these songs. Like,
I feel like he probably wouldn't either.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, no, it is very interesting.
Yeah.
And then since Chili Peppers have gone back to Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
For their latest album. So whatever that tells you guys.
And with John Frusciante back, and that latest album is like it's like they never left.
They're back.
It's like Stadium Arcadium, which is like how like didn't realize how long ago it was, like 20 years. No.
That was like 2006 or something too.
Jesus, yeah. So, but they're back and they're good. And so I felt like it was kind of cool for them to. It just seemed a weird matchup though, Danger Mouse to be doing this with them. It didn't seem. Even when I heard it, before I heard any music, I was like, really? That doesn't...
It seems weird for Chili Peppers to go that route, but it seems like a great opportunity for Danger Mouse to put his, And
that's, the other thing to say about Danger Mouse is, like, he's really prolific as well. Mm-hmm. And there's a few things about this, like, one, he really appreciates or prefers artists that are prolific. He likes artists that make a lot of work.
True.
He was also asked, like, why doesn't he take a break? And he was like, well, because I keep getting these opportunities to work with people and I don't want to say no. Like, he said, with given a choice between taking a break or working with someone and this opportunity, he'll always go work with someone. I feel like, Chili Peppers, would you turn that down if you were like, hey, Jesse, do you want to...
Yeah, produce the new Chili Peppers album.
You'd be like, I have no idea how to do that, but yeah.
Well, I was going to go to Hawaii for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But Brian Burton, Danger Mouse.
Yeah.
Just a rock star producer.
Yeah.
A testament to his abilities being able to work with and kill it with somebody like Norah Jones, and then boom, kill it with somebody like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like he's all over the place as far as music genre. He's really like learning and like putting his stamp on everything, like really trying new things for himself with other bands and stuff. I don't know. I mean, he's just really good. He's all over the place. I feel like we've done him justice. And
I think so, yeah. And I think, what else was I going to say? I feel like on this episode, it's been a marathon episode because I feel like I've researched 10 different artists as opposed to one.
Yeah. So by the way, I apologize. I'll speak for myself because we were jumping around a little bit. It's really hard to fit all of this message that we're trying to portray about this artist who's worked with so many people. He doesn't have a very steady, simple history. Mm-hmm. He's all over the place. So hopefully this episode didn't feel like it was completely all over the place. Mm-hmm. We tried to still kind of do a narrative, chronological style. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode because this was a pretty big one and I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, me too. I've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What do we want to play out on though?
We didn't have one ready?
No, we skipped over our order. We have though a few options if you want to hear them.
Bring them up.
The only one from the album Ghetto Pop Life, St. Elsewhere from Niles Barkley's St. Elsewhere, Gamma Ray from Beck's album Modern Guilt.
Yeah, I say we do Beck.
Beck? Okay, that's what it is. All right.
It just sounds good to me.
Yeah.
This guy worked with Beck too. Beck's great. I'm always down for Beck.
Yeah, I like his stuff a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, I hope we did this guy justice. I'm trying to think of last minute things to say right now, but I'm just really impressed by Danger Mouse.
I think the only thing I wrote down that I didn't say, but I think you might have sort of touched on it about the movie stuff.
Oh yeah.
Is that he got into music because he wanted to be a filmmaker, but it was too expensive to get into, so he went into music instead, and so he approaches music from a cinematic lens. And I think you kind of already talked a little bit about sort of the auteur side of it, sort of thing. But it was interesting to me that he also said about that you can sometimes he'll write a story, you know, and then try to bring that to life with the music.
Right.
And so he's always thinking very visually,
right,
with the music he creates, which is really cool. And something another key takeaway that I might still borrow in my own stuff.
Please do.
Yeah.
You have my stamp of approval. But yeah, I hope everyone learned something from Brian Burton. I think there's a lot to learn from him. Go listen to Demon Days. Go listen to Portugal the Man. Listen to Beck.
Yeah.
Gnarls Barkley, CeeLo Green. This guy's everywhere in the last 2 decades, and I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot more. I'm really excited for the new Broken Bells episode.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have an episode. But the new album. They're tentatively coming out with it.
Yeah.
So we hear.
Maybe we do a Shins episode. Are they too big to do an episode?
They'd be a good one to talk about. I think.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if a lot of people know this.
I don't know too much about them.
They'd be a really good one.
I've been thinking about this, and by the way, if listeners have suggestions, we'll give the email out in a little bit.
Yeah.
The comments as well. But I've been thinking about some bands that are big that I don't really know anything about, like the Pixies, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Smashing Pumpkins, for example. I don't know if it's worth see what the people think or what you think.
Hey, but let us know if you guys got ideas, because we're still trying to pump up and organize our format. If you guys are like, we don't like this, we don't like that, let us know, because we want to make it better for you guys.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make this the most valuable thing for all of us, including myself and Jay.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you guys being here. But if you guys have any of those tidbits to let us know, that'd be super helpful. And you could hit us up at the email, Jay.
rootstogrooves@signalradio.com, SIGNL radio.com.
Thank you.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signl Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's signl radio.com.